In a remote corner of a dense ancient forest, there lived a couple that the locals whispered about with a mixture of fear and intrigue. Their cabin, nestled deep among the towering trees, was a place of mystery and dread. The man, Richard, was a grotesquely obese figure with a pallid complexion and a permanent, unsettling smile etched across his face. His eyes seemed to gleam with a malevolence that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to meet his gaze. His wife, Lydia, was a stark contrast to Richard. She was extremely thin, her emaciated frame draped in a tattered black dress that seemed to absorb the light around her. Her skin was deathly pale, and her long jet-black hair hung like a curtain around her face. Her eyes were hollow and empty, as if the spark of life had long abandoned her. The couple had lived in the woods for as long as anyone could remember, and their isolation from the nearby town only fueled the rumors and speculation. They rarely ventured into town, and when they did, it was only to collect supplies and disappear back into the forest's depths. One particularly cold and misty night, a curious young couple, Sarah and Mark, decided to explore the forest's mysteries. Armed with flashlights, they ventured further than anyone had dared before, guided by an irresistible curiosity about the cabin that had fueled so many stories. As they approached the cabin, their flashlights flickered ominously. The forest seemed to come alive with strange whispers, as if warning them to turn back. But Sarah and Mark pressed on, their hearts pounding in their chests. The cabin loomed before them, a dilapidated structure that seemed to have been untouched by time. Its windows were dark, and an eerie silence hung heavily in the air. Sarah couldn't help but feel that they were being watched. With trembling hands, they pushed open the cabin's creaking door. Inside, the air was thick with a musty, rotten odor that made their stomachs churn. The walls were adorned with strange, macabre paintings that seemed to depict scenes of death and despair. Then they saw them, Richard and Lydia. The couple sat at a decrepit dining table, their eyes locked in a lifeless, unending stare. Richard's smile had become even more unsettling up close, and Lydia's gaunt figure seemed to melt in the shadows. Sarah and Mark exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of what to do. They knew they couldn't stay in that ominous place for long, but as they turned to leave, a voice echoed from the darkness.
"You shouldn't have come here,"
it hissed, and the couple froze. It was Lydia, her voice a haunting whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls. Terrified, Sarah and Mark fled the cabin and made their way back through the misty forest, their hearts still racing with fear. They returned to the town, vowing to never speak of their harrowing encounter. The legend of Richard and Lydia, the couple who lived in the woods, would persist as a tale of true horror, whispered in hushed tones around campfires and shared as a warning to the curious and the brave.